What's interesting about the referendum? Well, many things are interesting about the referendum, some of them horribly interesting about the referendum. To me, one of the biggest messages is that just a reminder of the London bubble and how the media and business and the bien-pensants in London, all of them, whatever their official roles and responsibilities, just couldn't believe the outcome that was possibly staring him in the face, or at least a very, very close race. And the betting markets and other indicators, and indeed some of the polls, although 11 of the 23 final polls were actually showing Leave well ahead, ultimately confounded them. And I think the shock that is present in London and amongst the elite is because of that. And perhaps that's the biggest lesson of all: never take the people for granted. I hope that Britain becomes a country of milk and honey and harmony, but the challenges, of course, in terms of the risks, are that if we have a more potentially right-wing conservative government that is facing perhaps a slowdown in growth, which even on the most optimistic forecast seems likely, if we see tax receipts going down and they still want to balance the books and pay off the deficit, the very regions, Wales, the North East, Sunderland, Cornwall, the places that currently receive the most money from both the EU and historically from Westminster, actually will end up seeing substantial reductions in public spending and not necessarily private sector investment following to make up for it. Now, that's hopefully a doomsday scenario, but it is certainly possible. And that, I think, isn't going to bring Britain back together again. I think actually psychologically it's a big impact. It's a big shock to foreigners and EU nationals living in London who are, again, they live in the bubble of London and can't believe there's places where lots of people don't like them for things that they represent through no fault of their own. I think, no, globally, I think we'll get over it. And of course, one of the great things about London is it is a global city. London is the de facto capital of Europe, whether Europe likes it or not. It's the biggest city, it's the most dynamic, it's the most creative. And actually one of the reasons for London's success is that industries like mine trade from London all over the world. So actually a large part of my work is not done in Britain at all. It's not even done in Europe. It's done all over the rest of the world. And bizarrely, devaluation of the pound, although it has some negative effects, actually makes London an even more competitive place for some of the creative industries and some of the service industries that we're a global leader in.